Right on the heels of Toyota's most recent battery electric vehicle announcement of the BZ3, pretty much a Chinese exclusive, we're getting reports from Reuters that Toyota is scrapping their EV program in order to keep up with the likes of Tesla, in order to be more profitable. Let's get into this. Make sure you have your snacks and drinks, because not only are we going to talk about this, we're going to talk about sourcing of the materials of batteries today. It's not looking good, mind you. We'll talk about how the Grand Highlander has been spied, etc. So let's get into it. Toyota is considering a reboot of its electric car strategy to better compete in the booming market that it has been slow to enter. And we'll take a quick pause. Yes, it's been very slow to enter. If we look at the BZ4X, they entered and then immediately got pulled because the wheels fell off or were falling off. So recalled that, and it is now being sold again on the market. There is a fix for it, but it took them a fairly long time to figure out what was going on, it seems like. And so they are halting work on existing EV projects. 4 people with knowledge of the still developing plans have said. The proposals under review, if adopted, would amount to a dramatic shift for Toyota and rewrite the $38 billion EV rollout plan the Japanese automaker announced last year to better compete with the likes of Tesla. Another quick timeout. My good friend David Chow is in Japan right now, and I reached out to him and I said, hey, what have you been hearing about this talk about Toyota restructuring their EV strategy? He's like, people aren't saying too much in Toyota land, essentially. Of course, they never do. But what he's saying, expect a big announcement in December or maybe even January with the new revitalized plan from Toyota. And that correlates with last year when Akio Toyota announced their 30 EV vehicles and their new estimation with 3.5 million BEVs by 2030. So let's keep reading. A working group within Toyota has been charged with outlining plans by early next year for improvements to existing EV platform for new architecture, the 4 individuals said. Now, I know this news is just breaking now, but it's not. I don't believe this is just something new. I think even back in December, they knew that they needed to start figuring out what they were going to do with their battery electric vehicle platform. What we have is a big lineup of the vehicles they showed last year. And what the BZ3 is now out in China. The BZ4X, this guy is now back on the market after the recall. But there are clues here that the new platform is already being worked on, or at least a separate platform focus on more efficient, better EVs. And that is displayed with the sports battery electric vehicle concept. Now, will the new IS be on the new platform? It's hard to say. It's probably going to be on the current EDNGA platform because it's a little bit more flexible. But in the future, these vehicles will have solid state batteries, and they will have to have more streamlined, more efficient platform for better performance, better range, and higher profitability to build these things. So in the meantime, Toyota suspended work on some of the 30 EV projects announced in December, just some of them, which according to the sources and a document reviewed by Reuters include, so they even have a document, interesting, which includes the compact cruiser crossover and the battery electric Crown, which that red sport battery electric vehicle from the Crown lineup, who knows if we'll ever get that in the United States, but the other ones could be a likelihood. Anyways, Toyota said it was committed to carbon neutrality, but declined to comment on the specific initiatives. This revamp could slow the rollout of EVs already on the drawing board, but it could also give Toyota a chance to compete with more efficient manufacturing process as industry-wide EV sales run past Toyota's early projections. As part of the review, Toyota is considering a successor to its EV underpinning technology called ETNGA, unveiled in 2019. This would allow Toyota to bring down costs, people have said. Tesla as the benchmark. The review was triggered in part by the realization by some Toyota engineers and executives that Toyota was losing a factory cost war to Tesla on EVs. There's no doubt about it. Tesla is more profitable per vehicle, per EV, I should say, especially than Toyota, even with their new TNGA platform. And Toyota was a little short-sighted here. And they still need to hedge their bets. We'll talk about that in the next article. But Toyota was planning the demand in EVs would not take off for several decades, which that still might be the case, but it's looking less and less likely, however, with the governments forcing it. Toyota designed ETNJ so that EVs could be produced on the same assembly line with gasoline cars and hybrids. Quick time out there. You could even say ETNJ really isn't different at all than their current TNGA platforms. Because if you look at, let's say, the CHR and the Izoa in China, those are on the TNGA-C platform, and they have fully electric versions of that. So it's not hard for them to take out the engine and the all-wheel drive systems and just put in their battery systems and electric motors. That's why the BZ4X doesn't have a frunk. The new RZ won't have a frunk. It's because they're designed, those systems are designed to plug into any sort of TNGA product, essentially into the Toyota line. Maybe not the L platform that's rear wheel drive like the LC and the LS, but any front wheel drive platform from Toyota is pretty much the eTNGA from the looks of it. So that has its benefits, but when it comes to mass producing EVs, that flexibility is kind of a hindrance in terms of mass efficiency and mass profitability. And Toyota thought that they could continue to use the eTNGA platform to get to about 3.5 million EVs per year by 2030, which is 1/3 of its global volume. But they're saying that EV sales are growing faster, and automakers globally now forecast plans for EVs to represent more than half of total vehicle production by 2030. And I know that a lot of people are projecting that, the governments are forcing that, but we need to pump the brakes because the resources are going to be much harder to come by on that sort of scale for that sort of a mass production of EVs. So the person leading Toyota's EV review is Shigeki Terashi, former chief competitive officer. And according to 6 people with knowledge of the work, so we're going from 4 sources to 6 sources now, they're all claiming Shigeki is in charge of this new EV revitalization or restructuring. Terashi's team has been designated the BR or Business Revolution Group within Toyota, a term used for major changes, including a revamp of its development and production processes 2 decades ago. What's driving Mr. Terashi's efforts is that the EV's faster than anticipated takeoff and rapid fire adoptions of cutting edge innovations by Tesla and others. Now, one option Terashi is considering is to prolong the eTNGA's usefulness by coupling it with new technologies. So kind of like Frankensteining the current platform to make it more efficient, which they could do. I mean, heck, I know it's not apples to apples comparison, but if you look at the RC, the Lexus RC, kind of like a Frankenstein of platforms, I think it's a little bit IS, it's a little bit, the old IS platform, it's a little bit GS, which rest in peace GS, but they've modified that thing so much that it competes in the GT3 racing class. So Toyota is capable of modifying things for performance, efficiency. Option B is to propose to retire the eTNGA more quickly and opt for an EV dedicated platform engineered from the ground up. That could take roughly 5 years for new models, which 2 of the sources said there's little time to waste, said one. So man, they're going to need 5 years for new models to come out. eTNGA won't go away. That's going to be the stopgap before this comes online, maybe in 5 years or so. Toyota's working with suppliers and considering factory innovations to bring down costs like Tesla's Gigapress, a massive casting machine that has streamlined work in Tesla plants. One area under review is a more comprehensive approach to an EV's thermal management, combining, for example, passenger air conditioning and electric powertrain temperature control. This could allow Toyota to reduce the size and weight of an EV battery pack that cuts costs by thousands of dollars per vehicle, which is making it a top priority for Toyota suppliers Denso and Aishin. With Toyota, they also make up the Blue Nexus conglomerate, you could say, which produces the EV motors and transmissions and things like that for their eTNGA platform vehicles. But even they produce the motors and hybrid units for non-eTNGA models like in their normal hybrids and plug-in hybrids. The recognition within Toyota, the world's largest automaker, that Tesla has set a new benchmark for EV manufacturing costs marks a major reversal. And I just made a video, a couple days ago talking about, hey, is Tesla a luxury brand? Have they overtaken the traditional luxury brands as the #1 luxury brand in North America? Make sure to check that out because it was fun to learn more about Tesla and talk about their pros and cons as well. And it also reminds us that Toyota had stake in Tesla. They sold it in 2017. And the crazy thing is, Toyota concluded that there wasn't much to learn from Tesla. That might have been true then, but that company moves at light speed, and it's easier to, change the direction of a small boat compared to a large boat. That's why they've been able to improve so fast. Toyota has a lot of baggage, and it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them to change everything and with their culture, their philosophy, in order to switch to something a little bit more technologically advanced like what Tesla's doing. So on the reverse, I think Tesla learned a lot from Toyota in their manufacturing process. So we're going to keep on going. And I'm not going to get into this article too much because it's going to be a long video, but US mining needs major boost to meet surging EV demand. So as Toyota is deciphering, hey, do we scrap what we have or do we beef up the current ETNJ platform? The rest of the automotive world is scrapping for batteries in the background. And this is not looking good. If the world wants to achieve their targets on electric vehicle adoption, supply chains must crank up, especially in lithium and nickel and cobalt for that matter, if they want to use cobalt. In order to meet carbon emissions goals set around the world, the auto industry needs 50 more lithium mines, 60 more nickel mines, and 17 more cobalt mines just to meet EV demand projections for 2030. That's assuming that they're going to be using the current battery technology, or they could use LFP, which takes out nickel as well as cobalt, which is a lot more affordable, not quite as much range, but that's probably going to be taking on a whole new scale of adoption because there's just not enough traditional battery packs to go around. And also getting a new mine up and running in the US with all of our red tape here can take as long as a decade. This isn't looking good. I don't know where all these minerals are going to come from. Well, obviously they have to come from the Earth's crust. So we'll be destroying the Earth to make battery electric vehicles to reduce our dependence on oil. No one knows how to recycle these things really at this point. So man, everything's looking pretty short-sighted with the battery electric revolution. So over at Automotive News, there have been spy shots of the new Grand Highlander. Now I'm just going to show tiny thumbnails here because I don't have access. I don't want to get copyright infringed for these Grand Highlander images. So these spy shots pretty much are saying that it's bigger than the current Highlander. So there's not much to see. It does have dual exhaust. So I'll put the link down below if you guys want to check it out. Toyota's got a lot of stuff to figure out before they can produce 3.5 million battery electric vehicles. As we mentioned, their current platforms is not profitable enough and it has its limitations because it shares essentially everything with their current TNGA platform. And then you look at the battery source, the minerals sourcing issues for the batteries going on around the world. And I just don't see how we're going to get to 50% of the vehicles sold by 2030 as electric or battery electric vehicles. Hybrids and plug-in hybrids, to me, make the most sense. There's a lot of efficiency still to be gained from them. Even if solid-state batteries come to the market, we still have the issue of where are these minerals? Where are we getting these minerals? But anyways, I'll see you guys down below. If you know more about the mining industry than I do, help us out in the comments. But I'll check you guys in the next video. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and peace out.